Still having a problem figuring out your constitutional rights? We're here to help you with that. Right here, right now, on this episode of The Bizz. All right, and welcome to The Bizz, where we're all up in it. I'm your boy Daniels, D-Money up here in Simi Valley.
Aaron, down in SD, chillin'.
And I'm Chris, up here in the VC, Ventura County.
Right, all right. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Absolutely.
So we're going to continue with our Constitution series, which I want to call it. And we left off with the Third Amendment. We're done with the third. We've covered the first three. So now we're going to pick up with the Fourth Amendment. And yeah, Chris, again, thank you for coming. You are a resident expert, right?
Absolutely.
Boy, that's setting the bar pretty low for me.
No, not at
Immediately
all.
denies being the expert.
Right.
No, not at all.
Wins you. I am
All right,
fortunate that I teach this stuff pretty regularly. So, yeah, I've got some insight for sure.
Right on, right on. All right, so, hey, Ron, hit
Before
us
we
with,
start, though, it is getting a little chilly in here. I need to put on my jacket because it is game day. Guys, fellas, it is game day.
Right, I didn't know the Clippers still
clinch
had a
first
team.
round today.
Right? Yeah, they might. I mean, they have the chance to do it, right? Both the Lakers and them are up 3 games, right? Or not up 3, but have won 3.
We've already won.
Yeah.
We won.
It's 3-2.
All right.
They're going to win. All right, so that Fourth Amendment, people and their personal property cannot be searched without a warrant issued by a judge. This is in plain English.
Right. So basically what that means is the police do not have the right to just search you or your property without probable cause. Now, probable cause is defined as reasonable grounds, meaning I'll give you a perfect example. If I'm a police officer and I pull you over for like a stop sign or something, if I suspect that you're smoking marijuana or something while you're driving, I can't just pull you over and be like, can I search your car because I think you're smoking marijuana. However, if I pull you over as a police officer and you roll down your window and marijuana smoke funnels out of your car and hits me in the face, now I have probable cause. I have reasonable grounds to suspect that you have this substance in your car, and now I can search your car.
Or if you're just driving erratically, then the police, that's probable cause that you might have drugs or alcohol in your car, so they can pull you over and search you and make you walk the line and the whole bit.
Yeah, they just can't pull you over and search your car because, for any reason.
And of course, cars don't need warrants, right? The version you read there talks about warrants, but warrants are for homes. But there's all sorts of searching that goes on that, of course, you don't need a warrant for because they can't go away and get a warrant from a judge. You just take off. So, but and for private property, warrant.
Right. All right. So pretty simple, cut and dry. Fourth Amendment. No one can search you. The police can't search you unless they have probable cause. Warrants allow people to detain people, but not handcuff and search them without probable cause.
They can pat you down without any probable cause.
They can, because that is a safety issue. If we're arresting you,
their own protection, right?
They are allowed to pat you down, and then if they are patting you down, they do come across something that is dangerous. Then they can proceed with their.
Then they have probable cause, right?
And
but the pat down is just to look for weapons, and that's just to keep them secure, and it can only be the exterior.
Yes, that's for the safety of the police officer. Yes.
Because if they there's something called the exclusionary rule. If the police gather something illegally, evidence illegally, then it's excluded from the courtroom. And so police got to be really careful to do their job right, and not collect evidence illegally that goes against the Fourth Amendment.
Absolutely. All right, let's roll to the fifth.
All right, the Fifth Amendment. No person may be held to answer for a crime unless he or she has first officially and legally been charged, whether it be through indictment by a grand jury or presentment from a prosecutor. No person can be tried for a crime, found not guilty, and then tried again for the exact same crime, double jeopardy. Persons cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Private property cannot be taken for public use unless the owner is fairly compensated for it. It's a lot to
right.
unpack there for the fifth
So
one.
let's unpack it
Yeah,
sentence
it's
by
big.
sentence really quick. That first sentence you read: no person may be held to answer for a crime unless he or she has been uh,
Charged.
officially and legally charged. All right. So you can't come to
Miranda.
my door. Yeah, you have to Mirandize them. You have to read them the rights, obviously. But basically, that says they can't hold me for something unless they charge me for it. They can come and question me, right? They can question me, but they can't legally hold me for overnight or whatever unless I'm being charged with something,
Absolutely.
right? But once they arrest you, they have to read you your rights. Then they can hold you because when you are being arrested, you do have the right to know why you're being arrested. And the person who arrests you, one, have to identify themselves as someone who has been given the authority to arrest you. And usually, if they're not in a uniform, they have to show you some type of, or tell you, look, I'm officer so and so, and I'm arresting you for this. You have the
Not
right to
like
know that.
Portland where they're throwing people in vans.
Right. No, I mean, for an arrest to be legal, you as the person, you have the right to know, one, who's arresting you, and two, what you're being arrested for. And usually if you're getting arrested by a police officer,
And of course, your constitutional rights that they have to read you, which are really a combination between the Fifth and Sixth Amendment, your Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights.
Right. You have the right to remain silent, which means you do not have to, you have the right to not say anything because they even tell you anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. So that's why a lot of people plead the Fifth Amendment, which also in there states that it's the right against self-incrimination, basically. So they tell you up front, you have the right to remain silent, right? You have a right to an attorney. Right? If you cannot afford one will be, given to you. And then they ask you before they take you. They're required to ask you too. Do you understand these rights?
That's right. In case you don't speak English or you're deaf or something.
Right. And that's all wrapped up, like you said, in the Fifth and Sixth Amendment. All right. So the next line said, no person can be tried for a crime, found not guilty, and then tried again for that same exact crime. And that is what we know as double jeopardy. Right. So once, if I, being charged for, double homicide and I get off, I get acquitted, I can no longer ever be tried again for that crime.
So O.J. Simpson could essentially admit it right now and then go play golf.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh, yeah.
In theory, you could walk out of the courtroom with your fingers in the air, middle fingers in the air, and say, "Suckers, I did it." But they could come back with another slightly different charge for the same crime.
True.
Right. And also, of course, in a lot of these cases, you could be sued. Like in the case of O.J. Simpson, right?
Yeah.
O.J. was found not guilty in a criminal court, but who was it? Ronald Goldman, right? One of the two people that were killed. Ronald Goldman's family turned around and sued O.J. for wrongful death, and they won, and they got millions and millions of dollars.
Right.
So O.J. was found guilty in a criminal court, but then he was found, he's found not guilty in a criminal court, I'm sorry, but he was found liable in a civil court with a lawsuit from Ronald Goldman's family. And the difference usually in a lot of these cases is it's very hard to find somebody guilty in a criminal court because of the amount of evidence, the burden of proof, they call it, that you have to convict somebody. It's not hard to sue somebody. You don't need the preponderance of evidence. It's like Judge Judy. The jury's just listening, if there is a jury, and deciding, did this guy do it or did he not do it? You don't have to have as much evidence, so it's a lot easier to sue somebody. When you think of Rodney King, same thing, right? Those cops were acquitted of beating, abusive force. Right. And then Rodney King turned around and sued the LA Police Department successfully for abusing his civil rights. So it's easier to sue than it is to successfully than it is to find somebody guilty in a criminal court.
Right.
And that's not double jeopardy.
Right. Because one's criminal, one's civil.
Exactly.
Right. All right. Let's see. Last one. Private property cannot be taken for public use unless the owner is fairly compensated for it. You just can't come and take somebody's stuff, basically is what it's saying. you gotta pay people for their stuff. All right. Let's see. So generally, due process of law, as it applies to the Fifth Amendment, guarantees the following. And it says this list is not exhaustive. So let me run through it real quick. I'm sorry, Aaron. I didn't took your reading privileges.
Oh.
Sorry. Right to be fair in public trial conducted in a competent manner. Right. Right to a fair and public trial conducted in a competent manner. Right to be present at the trial, like you have a right to be there. What do you think about this one? Right to an impartial jury.
That's Sixth Amendment.
That's 6, yeah. 6. The impartial jury is the Sixth Amendment.
Yeah, when you're talking about your rights in a courtroom, aside
Oh yeah,
from the
yeah,
right
for
to,
sure.
yeah.
That's why he's the
So,
expert.
all right, so read the Sixth Amendment. Let's do that.
Sixth Amendment. A person accused of a crime has the right to a fair and speedy trial by an impartial jury of his or her peers, to be informed of the accusations against him or her, to be confronted with the witnesses against him or her, to be able to subpoena witnesses to give testimony in his or her favor, and to have legal counsel for his or her defense. So there's a lot of issues I have there with social media. Everybody's got a camera, and the word impartial. It's almost what do they say? You know, a lot of these trials are settled in the media. You know, how can you really have an impartial jury when everything is everywhere instantly?
Everyone's
You're talking about
camera.
these big trials that are televised, or these big trials that everyone knows about?
Absolutely. Or even on a smaller scale, if you take just one state, oh, this is a big trial in California. How can you find somebody impartial if this is a big hot button trial in a state or a region?
Well, sometimes they will move the trial to somewhere else that's a little more neutral. They did that with Rodney King. Remember the Oklahoma City bomber?
Yeah.
They moved that trial out of Oklahoma City because
no way
people there they wanted blood, right?
Yeah.
But I think, to Aaron's point, I think what he's trying to say is that because everyone has a camera now, and the way the media, I mean, if something happens at 11 o'clock today, by 11:02, 11:01, it's uploaded, it's viral, everybody knows about it. How easy is it to find an impartial jury? Because everyone has opinions, right? We see something, and the media is putting headlines on it, and there's memes going out all over the place. And by the happens at 11 o'clock, it's viral at 11:02. By 11:30, everyone has made their mind up. Not even that long. By 11:10,
it takes a lot longer probably in jury selection, right?
Yeah.
As both lawyers and the judge weed through all the potential jurors to find people they both sides believe are independent thinkers, and they're not going to prejudge this person, but just solely on the basis of evidence in the court.
Right. So impartiality doesn't suggest that I have no knowledge of the crime. It just means that they believe I'm impartial, that I can make an objective decision about what I'm doing.
I think that's easier said than done, depending on the case. Definitely easier to say. I can step outside of myself and say, you know what, he probably didn't do that. Or it's very hard because emotions are a part of that equation.
True.
Absolutely.
So it's
all right.
The world.
This is why we need good jurists. So smart folks should not try to skate out of jury duty just because it's kind of easy.
Right. Yeah, we need people who are critical thinkers and free thinkers, and who are able to look at a situation objectively and not let their own emotions get involved.
Right.
It's important. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. We done with the 6? What about the 7? You want to tackle that before we wrap up?
We can hit 7th. In any legal case involving a civil suit, the defendant has the right to a trial by jury if the amount in question is over $20.
That is one of the dumbest things in the Constitution.
The fact, but we got to put it in context. What is $20, 200 years ago in today's dollars? I don't know what that translates to.
I know last time we were talking about how the Constitution was very vague, and it's good that it's vague because it can adapt to the times. Why the heck did they put a dollar amount in there? It makes no sense at all. So now it's up to the state to determine. If small claims court, I think, is like $1,500 and below in California.
Oh, small claims is 10 grand.
Oh, is it 10 grand?
Small claims is 10 grand.
Okay, so anything under 10 grand, you can't ask for a jury.
Correct, and then it goes to Superior Court where it gets expensive.
All right. So the 7th Amendment, since we're talking about what $20 meant, The Seventh Amendment was ratified on December 15th, 1791. And Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson announced the adoption of the amendment on March 1st, 1792. So back in the 1790s, $20 was worth a lot. So they might,
Yeah.
you know, to make it, you know, to account for today, that $20 should be what?
$10,000, I guess.
10,000, something like that, something
At
crazy,
least,
right?
yeah, I guess that translates, but
It's up to the state.
yeah, every state
So-
has their own rules.
So although this one isn't really crazy, some of our amendments should probably be amended.
Yeah, but you have to move heaven and earth to get
True.
an amendment amended. You know.
True.
So
All right.
It's all right. We have the courts to do, you know, California, it's 10,000. Is that what you said, Aaron? I didn't know that. So, but, you know, so you don't need to actually change the dollar amount in the Constitution to update it state by state through, you know, through the courts.
Absolutely.
All right. So what? Let's see. Our time is winding down here. What did we hit today? 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Not bad.
Knocked them all out. One-liners.
Yeah. So we'll tackle the 8th one because there are some things we need to define in that one in our next session. You know, it talks about cruel and unusual punishment, and you know everyone has a different idea what cruel and unusual is. So when we come back for our next Constitution series, we'll start with number 8, and we'll see how far we can get. All right.
Sounds
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah, you coming back for that, Chris? Right?
Oh, sure. Go Clips. Go Clips.
Right. Them Clippers.
Big
Go
day.
Celtics. Go Celtics. I just
Oh,
gotta
man.
put that out
Celtics
there.
are looking good.
They are. We'll see if they can hang on and actually get to the finals this year.
That title's going to be in the West. It's either my Lakes or those Clippers. Let's just be real. That title.
I honestly don't think the Clippers can beat the Lakers.
What?
LeBron's just too clutch. He's the most clutch guy in basketball today.
You heard it, folks. It's on the internet now.
Right.
It's
All
on
All
the
right.
internet.
So for everyone out there, if you like what you're hearing, we want you to comment on below the video on YouTube. Please give us the thumbs up. Please subscribe so we can keep giving you the biz.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm Daniels D Money signing out from Senior Valley.
Hey, Ron, down in SD. Catch you next time.
And I'm Chris from the VC. Peace.
And we out.
Bizz.